a vibrant 28-year-old young woman. She was ambitious. You know, I talked with her mother and her sisters about her, and they described such an extraordinary life of a person. She was excited. She was working hard. She was a medical assistant. She was going to nursing school, raising her 6-year-old son. She was really proud that she had finally worked so hard that she gained the independence. Her family was telling me that she was able to get an apartment in a gated community with a pool for her son to play in. She was so proud, and she was headed to nursing school. And her name, and we will speak her name, Amber Nicole Thurman. Amber Nicole Thurman.
Amber Nicole Thurman.
That's right. Under the Trump abortion ban, her doctors could have faced up to a decade in prison for providing Amber the care she needed. Understand what a law like this means. Doctors have to wait until the patient is at death's door before they take action. You know, on the other side of my, you know, the other folks, Trump and his running mate, and they'll talk about, oh, yeah, but I do believe in the exception to save the mother's life. Okay, all right, let's break that down, shall we? Let's break that down. Let's break that down. So we're saying that we're going to create public policy that says that a doctor, a healthcare provider, will only kick in to give the care that somebody needs if they're about to die? Think about what we are saying right now. Her last words to her mother, which her mother, as you know, tears up and cries every time she speaks it. Last words to her mother, promise me you'll take care of my son. So I met last night and I spent time with Amber's mother and her sisters, and they spoke about Amber, a daughter, a sister, a mother, with the deep love that you can imagine, and how terribly they miss her. And their pain is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Amber's mother, Shanette, told me that the word preventable is over and over again in her head when she learned about how her child died. The word preventable. She can't stop thinking about the word that they spoke to her. It was preventable. Because you see, medical experts have now determined that Amber's death was preventable.
It was preventable. The vice president underscoring the deadly consequences of the abortion bans enacted after Dobbs and putting the blame squarely on the ex-president and Republicans, calling them hypocrites, saying that Trump is proud of stripping women of their rights and putting them in danger. Take a listen.
The idea that someone who survives a crime of violence to their body, a violation of their body, would not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next? That's immoral. That's immoral. And let us agree, and I know we do, one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do. Think about that when you also combine that with what we know has been long-standing neglect around an issue like maternal mortality. Think about that when you compound that with what has been long-standing neglect of women in communities with a lack of the adequate resources they need for health care, prenatal, during their pregnancy, postpartum. Think about that.
This event today coming off a star-studded but emotional town hall hosted by one of the vice president's most famous supporters, one of the most famous women in the world, Oprah Winfrey. They touched on a series of topics, some of which we're going to get to later in the show. Oprah ended the live stream with a direct appeal to undecided voters and centrists.
I just want to say, for all of you watching who are still on the fence, you're in the middle, you're independent as I am, or whether you're just still don't know what you're going to do. This is the moment for all decent people, all caring people who want the best for yourself and you want the best for other people. This is the moment for people who are tired of all of the bickering and all of the name calling, people who are exhausted by the craziness and the made-up stories and the conspiracies. This is the moment. You want to get on with your life because you know that we can do better and that we deserve better. You know this. I know you know this. I know you feel this. I know this is what you're saying amongst yourselves. It's in all the conversations that we're having, that you're having. And we're better than this. We're better. We're better. And we want to create a world where our children will be safe in school again. And as my friend and mentor Maya Angelou always said, when you know better, you got to do better. Thank you. So let's do better and vote for Kamala Harris.
And that is where we start today with NBC News correspondent Yamiche Alcindor for us, where that event with the vice president just ended. Also with us, President of Reproductive Freedom for All, Minnie Tamaraju, and here with me at the table, Reverend Al Sharpton, president of the National Action Network and host of Politics Nation right here on MSNBC. Yamiche, I want to begin with you. This wasn't your ordinary political rally. This was somber. It was intimate. Tell me about the room that you were in.
That's right, Alicia. What you saw today was not the sort of campaign rally that's raucous, where people are chanting. Instead, we saw an intimate, solemn event where the vice president could almost see every single person in the room and where every person was sort of sitting shoulder to shoulder. And there was an emotionalness and a heaviness to this event. When the vice president was talking about Amber Nicole Thurman and Candy Miller, two mothers who died of what state officials and ProPublica is reporting are preventable abortion deaths, people in this room were crying. They were emotional. They were reacting. There were a lot of people who were just taking in the news and really understanding what it means when women in the state of Georgia are dying because they don't get the care that they need in moments of emergencies. And in this case, you saw the vice president not just talk about the way that these women died, which is, of course, so sad, but it's also, she was talking, as you played, the fact that Amber was a young mother who wanted to take care of her son, who asked her mother in her dying breath, in her last moments on this earth, to promise that you would take care of my son. She also said she had a plan for herself. She had a vision for what her life was going to look like, and that's why she wanted this abortion, because she didn't want to take on more than she could. And then for Candy Miller, who was a mother of three, who had lupus, who had diabetes, she was trying to stay around for her children and instead ended up dying laying in the bed with her 3-year-old. So this was really, I think, a different kind of event, and an event where the vice president was really trying to lean in on the personal stories and trying to impact undecided voters who might be moved by the personal in that. And she also said, I should say, not only was it preventable, she said the word predictable. She said this was predictable, Alicia.
Minnie, indeed, preventable and predictable. Amber Thurman's family, they spoke on a live stream last night. I want you to take a listen to some of what they said. We'll talk about it on the other side.
Initially, I did not want the public to know my pain. I wanted to go through in silence, but I realized that it was selfish. I want y'all to know Amber was not a statistic. She was loved by a family, a strong family. And we would have done whatever to get my baby, our baby, the help that she needed.
I mean, it's heartbreaking. You know, that was my baby sister. I loved my baby sister, you know. I'm beyond hurt. disappointed. I feel guilty. I wish I could have helped her, you know, because she was suffering. And we had no idea. We trusted them to take care of her, you know. And they just let her die because of some stupid abortion ban.
I want to say that it's very disheartening that my sister was allowed to suffer for 20 hours. She suffered. It was nothing that we could do to help her. We trusted the healthcare professionals to do their job and save her, but they failed her.
Minnie, what that evokes for me is something that the vice president said. She talks about how very often abortion gets framed as a moral or immoral choice, when really what we're talking about right now, providing health care to women who need it, also carries its own sense of morality and immorality.
You know, absolutely. You know, abortion is health care, full stop. And what these horror stories that are coming out, that have been coming out, these storytellers that have been on the road, but also medical providers who've been talking about the challenges they're facing, tell us is there's a morality in providing access to care. It's more than just the absolute full right to abortion care. It's also about access to care. So, and I'm sorry, I watched that clip last night, and watching it now, it's very emotional. Very emotional. So here's what I'll say. Amber's family talked earlier in that segment about how many times the ProPublica reporter had approached them, and how many times her mother had said, I don't want to relive it. But that the reporter finally got through to her by saying, you need to share the story because other families could have family members whose lives could be saved. You need to share this story and please work with us on this reporting because there's something terrible happening in this country and we're trying to shed light on it. When we have families like Amber Thurman's and Candy Miller's, the second big ProPublica story about a Georgia woman who died because of the Trump abortion ban, it's horrific, it's tragic, it's heartbreaking, but it makes the moral clarity really come alive. It makes the point, and it sets up the discussion in a way that, quite frankly, until we have these confirmed deaths because of these bans, wasn't going to break through for all Americans. So I'm so glad the vice president did this event today, even though it's gut-wrenching to watch.